Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our session on how to use ChatGPT to enhance aging services and support in the Upper Coastal Plain region. My name is Robert Hiett. I'm the Executive Director for the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments. And today we're here to talk about ChatGPT, which is an AI chatbot developed by OpenAI, and how it's revolutionizing the way that we can support our senior citizens and caregivers. So, with that, let's dive right on in. Our organization, the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments, also serves as an area agency on aging that serves senior citizens across Edgecombe, Halifax, Nash, Northampton, and Wilson counties in North Carolina. Our mission is to empower seniors, their families, caregivers, and individuals with disabilities to live independent, meaningful, healthy, and dignified lives. We believe that ChatGPT is a tool that can significantly aid us, our participants, as well as their caregivers and other loved ones in this mission. And we're going to talk about that today. Okay, so let's quickly move to trying to understand ChatGPT, what it is, what it does, and later on in the presentation, we'll talk about how to use it. So, first things first, how many people know what ChatGPT is? Okay, one, two, three. Staff don't count. Four. All right, so we got about four people in the audience that are somewhat familiar with ChatGPT. They've heard it, maybe they've used it a little bit, and everyone else here this is pretty much the first time you're hearing about it. A lot of y'all have been in the workforce for quite some time, so I'm sure you remember the days where we had the old typewriter and paper. I don't know about y'all, but I certainly crinkled up my fair share of paper if I made a mistake. But, essentially, that's what we had to write anything in a formal manner with a keyboard. And from there, a lot of y'all remember how we went from typewriters to personal processors with personal computers, and then we moved over to word processors. And so everything has just been a little bit of a natural evolution ever since. We've been interacting more and more by typing English or whatever your native language is into a computer chat box or a text box or something like that. And we're used to seeing instant results or getting some kind of a response. First thing that you need to understand is that it's an artificial intelligence language model that takes text and generates relevant responses. So, in layman's terms, you're entering stuff into the computer, it's translating that into human language, figuring out what you're asking it to do, and then giving you a response back that you can read and understand. ChatGPT was trained by OpenAI, and it's been trained on information and data all over the world on a wide variety of topics. And it essentially operates at a knowledge level that is equivalent to a college graduate in a lot of different areas. If you want to be a computer programmer, it's very smart. In other things, it's definitely very knowledgeable and has deep subject matter knowledge. So that is a good thing because it has a better opportunity to understand what we're asking it to do or what topic we're trying to talk to it about, and then come back and give us a relevant response or at least be able to point us in the right direction. So A potential example here is you could ask ChatGPT, how can ChatGPT help me find local services for my elderly parent? That's a question that a caregiver, a loved one, a child, an adult child, of course, could ask ChatGPT about their parent or loved one and expect to get a response under the AAA chatbot that we've set up and we'll go into in just a minute. Okay, very quickly, how you access ChatGPT. The good thing is OpenAI made ChatGPT free to everyone up to a certain level in May because they want to encourage more people to use it. When it first came out over the past year, there's been this mystery around it. People think that it requires a lot of computer skill to know. They've thrown out scary terms like prompt engineering, so on and so forth. But at the end of the day, um, it's a chatbot that you can talk to in plain English. And once you start using it and realize how easy it is to use, then, some of that mystery and perhaps misperception that it's too hard to utilize fades away. Be aware that there are limits. So you can go to chatgpt.com and you'll see a basic chat box that'll get pulled up. You'll start off with what they call their ChatGPT 4.0 model, which is the latest version. It's smart, it's fast, and a free user is going to get 10 uses once a day or every 24 hours. And so you can use the advanced knowledge of GPT 4.0, or you can take those 10 usages and you can access what we call custom GPTs or AI assistants or a chatbot. You can access those that have been created by ChatGPT and still get you your 10 usage. After you've gone through your 10 messages, it's going to drop you down to a basic ChatGPT 3.5. So you won't be able to use the advanced features. But hey, you can still ask ChatGPT questions, and you get about 20 messages every 3 hours. It may not feel like that, but 20 messages is a pretty healthy level of exchange with a chatbot. Okay, so we have created a UCPCOG AAA Services GPT. Here's the bit.ly link we created for it, the QR code, because everybody doesn't always remember the web addresses. And unfortunately, there's not an easy way to create a tailored web address for these things at the moment. Hopefully, that's something that they'll fix. But bit.ly's kind of short, and there's a QR code as a backup. Over here on the right-hand side, you see what our AAA assistant looks like. So it's got our logo, name, a few starter questions, and then a chat box down here at the bottom. And we'll go through a couple of exercises in real time so you get an idea how to use this thing. All right, so one thing to keep in mind when you're using ChatGPT is you're working off of a chat box or a text box, and you're going to be asking it things, and it may ask you follow-up questions. So you've only got 10 initial replies, so they need to be good questions that are well structured. So you want to be you want to be clear and specific so that you can get detailed information back as a response. An example here is a caregiver in Wilson County asked about senior citizen services, and receives detailed information about available services, including contact details and how to apply. An example query or something you would put in the chat box is, what senior citizen services are available in Wilson County and who do I call? So let's take a quick look at what the chatbot would say when we ask them that question. So we've entered in our query and now we're seeing a response pop up here, and it's beginning to tell me who provides what in Wilson County. So in this case, we're looking at transportation services, tells us who to call. We have nutrition services that are done in a couple of ways, and there's some at-home services that are also offered. For any other questions, it tells you to call Demetria Ellis, who's our options counselor at the AAA, and it gives her name and her address. And then it'll list our website if you need to go get any other information. So let's start a new chat really quick, and then let's just ask, give me a detailed service overview. It takes a minute to think. And here it goes, beginning to list the services by county, by type. Gives you a little bit of information about each kind of service. And then if I want to know who to call, I can just say, who should I call about these services? And what it'll do is it'll begin to give you contact information. In this case, it was designed to do this from the AAA level, so it's basically going to give you our staff, and then we would lead you back to the appropriate service provider in each region. So ChatGPT is great for a lot of different things. We have loaded our custom GPT up with things that are related to our area agency on aging, the services it provides, partners, descriptions about those services, and we've allowed it to answer general questions about aging or certain things related to just getting older. So you could see a caregiver or a family member could come to our GPT and ask questions related to anything. In the examples that we're looking for here, we've just kind of created some that we feel are common, and we'll go through them as we move through the presentation. Here in this slide, I just have an example of, how can I help an elderly person to prevent social isolation? And if I put that into query, our AAA bot would go through and try to give some general advice, but not try to take the role of being an actual medical professional. Instead, it would it would circle back and provide contact information to lead the family member or loved one back to an actual service provider in our region that can get them some help. All right, so the other things that we're doing here is, again, looking at caregiver support and resources. There's a lot of things that go on when you're a caregiver of an elderly person, even a normal, healthy elderly person. But certainly, if you are taking care of an elderly person who has, other health issues or conditions. So here, example scenario, is that you may have a caregiver that's feeling overwhelmed and they need to get some ideas about local support groups or respite care services or even stress management tips. And they can ask these questions to our custom GPT and get some answers. So, here, what support is available for caregivers dealing with burnout? Well, we can flip back down over here and ask our GPT. Again, it's searching its knowledge, and then it begins to list off a couple of services and support programs that the AAA offers through its partners in the region. There's also some literature and some other handouts, and again, mentions the Area Agency on Aging. So, uh, as a follow up, if you ask who to contact for help, then it's going to lead you back to our key staff that can assist somebody with that. Okay, so another useful feature of ChatGPT is what they call ChatGPT Vision. And with ChatGPT Vision, what that is you're able to upload a picture or an image or even an electronic file, and ChatGPT can read it, make an interpretation, and either explain some things to you about it, or it can you can upload those things, and then you can ask ChatGPT to do some specific analysis and provide certain recommendations for you. So we have a few examples that we'll go through here. Our example here is a picture of a living room, and we want to know how can we make the living room more senior friendly because we're going to have a grandma coming to live with us in the near future. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, so we have the photo that y'all saw in the presentation. Now we've loaded it in the chat window, and we've told it this is our living room. Our grandmother is coming to live with us soon, and we need to make modifications to make it more senior friendly and accessible. So please analyze it and give us some recommendations. And we'll hit the enter box and watch it do its magic. All right, so it's starting by telling us what we can do with the furniture, like rearrange it, clear stuff out of the pathways, which makes perfect sense. We've got some lighting recommendations to make it easier to see. Uh, Flooring, I've put in some no slip rugs, keep the floors clear. Seating, accessibility, a little bit here about safety and temperature control, and maybe some soft furnishings here. So the next thing I'm going to ask it is, can you please outline a sample budget to do these recommendations? All right. And so it just kind of starts reading off what a sample budget might be. Now, I'll have to say prices are going to be different based on your area. But at least in this case, because we were using localized documents from our area agency on aging plan, it already knows that we live in North Carolina. So it's estimating what it knows about North Carolina prices to potentially get all this done. And in our case, it's about a $1,400 improvement that it's recommending. So here's how to use ChatGPT for meal planning, and we will walk you through a couple of scenarios in the chat box right after this slide. In this next example, we will upload a picture of a meal, ask it to identify the meal so you'll be able to see what it is. Because, sometimes your grandmother or elderly person or whoever you're taking care of might just send you a picture and you may not always know what it is. All right, we'll see what it says. Now, what I know is that it's banana pudding with a roll, some mashed potatoes, green beans, and roast beef and gravy. It was a great meal, and I ate it when I went to go visit somewhere not too long ago. And as you can see, ChatGPT pretty much got it right. All right. So, what I'm going to now ask is can it prepare recipes for this meal so I could replicate it at home? Because, hey, sometimes you might get photos of stuff and you might not know the recipe, and ChatGPT can give it to you. Now, there's a lot you can do with this stuff. Here, I'm wanting it to give me a recipe. I could just as easily ask it to create a grocery list for healthy eating for a week, um, to cook certain types of foods, and then have it give me a recipe list and a budget. So let's see. Can you estimate a grocery budget for these items? And there we go. So, you could create a daily, weekly, or monthly meal list using ChatGPT and use it to treat all kinds of conditions. If somebody has diabetes, you could ask ChatGPT to help you develop a healthy diet and identify what that is. And you can break down the recipes and then get a grocery budget off of that. So we can do all of those things within 10 questions per day that we're allotted. And if we run out of space, then come back the next day, which some people probably would. We know that mental health services are very important. So we can ask our AAA chatbot what mental health resources are available for seniors in Halifax County, and we'll see what result that we get. All right, we're watching it think in real time. It's going back to its knowledge base. It's pulling out what we have in there for Halifax County. And then it's given a point of contact on where to call to get more information about that. So, for emergency preparedness planning, ChatGPT can certainly help a family member or caregiver to create one for their elderly parent or loved one and have that on file for quick reference if it were ever to be needed. So we have an example query down there. How can I create an emergency plan for my elderly parent? And let's see what the AAA bot comes up with. All right, so we've asked it to We've asked it, how can I come up with an emergency preparedness plan for my elderly parent? Please help me to create an outline and a checklist. All right, so you see it's going through the key things that might want to have in a plan. Certainly things you need to be checking around the house. And now it's creating the checklist. So we can literally go through and check each box that yes, we have done those things. So you can copy and paste that onto a Word document or print it straight off of your web browser if you have a local printer nearby and you have a quick, ready made list that can help you. All right, we had a lot of questions today, so it's great to hear them all. I hope that you will follow up with us some more. But we walked through how to access the services, how to find the bot. We gave examples on situations that people encounter on a fairly frequent basis. And I think based on the looks around the room, everybody learned a whole lot of things today. So again, we'll be doing some more with ChatGPT in the future. And in the meantime, please reach out to our staff and be sure to let us know if you have any questions that we can follow up on. Here's my information. Again, I'm Robert Hiett, the Executive Director for the Upper Coastal Plain Council of Governments. And I've also created a YouTube channel where you can learn about how to use ChatGPT in a lot of different ways. If you follow along with me at the Public Sector Learning Lab, what you'll learn is you'll learn how to talk to ChatGPT, get answers, and then have a continuous conversation that goes back and forth where you can either ask new things or continue to drill down in a topic to learn a lot more. Again, our AAA bot will only talk about the Upper Coastal Plain area agency on aging, its services, its contractors, and general growing older type things. And people won't be able to go ask it, off topic stuff. But it should be very useful for a lot of folks, particularly our contractors or some of our service partners in the field. We'd love to know how you end up using it. So please be sure to give us some feedback.